Bring a cup of water to a boil. I'm just adding a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric to tint my macaroni. And I'm also salting mine, and this is optional. You can salt yours if you want to. Now add your keto macaroni. Stir continuously for 1 to 2 minutes. 1 minute if you want it al dente, and up to 2 minutes if you want it softer. Time to strain your pasta. If you find it too wet and the water isn't draining, you can always just use a paper towel to dab the excess water. Set that aside and let's make the rest of the ingredients. I'm adding 45 grams of sour cream. It equates to 1/3 of a cup. To loosen your sour cream a bit, I'm adding 3 tablespoons of heavy cream, or 45 grams. A tablespoon of Dijon mustard for flavor. I do love garlic, so I'm adding a little bit of garlic powder, a pinch of pepper, and do note I'm adding all my seasonings into the sauce before I mix it, and a pinch of Italian seasoning. I do love greens. Now mix to combine. There are so many variations to a macaroni salad. You know, you can use mayonnaise, you can use thickened cream. Maybe be creative and, maybe create your own mac salad. Adding the keto mac. This is 100 grams of roasted chicken that I've shredded. It was just leftover, so I used it. 2 tablespoons or 20 grams of red bell pepper. 25 grams of red onion sliced. I'm just mixing all of that in. Look at that color, guys. Now we're plating up. First I added Cos lettuce, 30 grams of lettuce leaves, and a 1/4 avocado, which is 30 grams, 2 boiled eggs sliced. I cooked these for 6 minutes in boiling water. Just spoon your mixture on top of that. Season with salt, black pepper, and Italian seasoning. Add 200 grams of smooth ricotta cheese, that's whole milk, into a bowl. Then 50 grams of grated Parmesan cheese, 45 grams or 3 tablespoons of heavy cream, 1 egg. Some people don't season their white sauce, but I like to, so I'm adding a sprinkle of salt, pepper, dried oregano, and basil or Italian herbs, and mix until combined. When it's ready, set that aside. Over a medium to high heat, add 500 grams of Italian sausage meat or ground beef to a skillet or pan, and we're going to saute that, break up the meat, and let it cook for 5 minutes until the meat has browned. Do note in this recipe we're not using any vegetables, and the reason is we want to keep the carb count down. Now we're going to season the sauce. So add a teaspoon of salt, pepper, oregano, basil or Italian seasoning, and I'm adding a tablespoon of garlic powder because I love garlic powder. And then add 350 grams of marinara sauce or any tomato cooking sauce that you might have, and try to get the low carb one. Give it a stir, switch off the heat, and your red sauce is ready. Prepare a 2.0 pasta sheet, and there's a link in the top right hand corner appearing now. Just going to trim off the edges. If you want, you can cut your pasta sheet to measure your casserole dish. And then I'm going to cut it into 4s. Add about 2 tablespoons to the base of your casserole dish and just spread it out to coat the bottom. For every layer of pasta, you'll need about 1 sheet. Add a layer of your red sauce and spread it. And now your white sauce, and spread that as well. This is 100 grams of cheese, and I've measured out a total of 200 grams for the entire dish. Pasta sheet, add another layer of red sauce and spread that, and the remainder of my white sauce, just spreading that. Spread 100 grams of mozzarella cheese, grated, a sprinkle of pepper, and some dried herbs, Italian seasoning or basil, or oregano. Bake your lasagna at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius for 10 to 15 minutes depending on how crispy you like your cheese. I just made an orecchiette shape using the flourless egg white keto pasta recipe, and if you want to use that, please click on the link to the top right of your screen. Next we are going to blanch 2 broccolini, so bring some water to a boil, add the broccolini and turn them over occasionally. Then after 2 minutes, remove, then strain them. Your broccolini will be al dente but still maintain a beautiful color and its nutrients. Set the broccolini aside for now, and next we will prepare the meat. I'm going to be using 2 Italian pork sausages, so first I removed the casings and broke up the meat. Italian sausage has lovely herbs and spices already in the sausage as compared to using plain ground meat, so it's going to reduce effort in making a meal full of flavor. Over a medium heat, add 1 tablespoon of olive or avocado oil, and when it's warmed through, add the sausage meat. Give it a stir and break up the meat further. Cook that for 2 minutes, then add a half a cup of low-carb white wine, or you can use a broth if you want to keep it clean keto. Then reduce it completely by letting it cook uncovered, and this took just a few minutes. You will be left with just the flavor of the wine and not the alcohol. I'm using a cast iron skillet, and you can see that I have flavor stuck to the bottom of the pan. I added 1 cup of water and loosened it so that flavor gets back into my meal. Next, I added 1 teaspoon of finely chopped fresh rosemary, a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and stir that into the meat. Lastly, add the dried orecchiette pasta, toss it in continuously for 1 minute, and then it's ready. And look how soft the pasta turns out. I then gave it a taste and added a sprinkle of salt. Let's get the broccolini back in, and then you have Gino D'Acampo's Orecchiette Concita di Rapa keto style. Today I'm going to be using keto ravioli made with flourless egg white pasta, but you can use any shape. If you want the recipe for the keto pasta, click on the link to the top right of your screen now. Over a medium heat, melt 1 tablespoon of butter, then a half a cup of diced bacon, and let that saute until it has browning. Next, add 2 tablespoons of chopped walnuts and stir to combine. And now the spices. Add 1 teaspoon of cilantro powder, 1 teaspoon of chili flakes, 1 tablespoon of chopped sage leaves, 1/3 of a cup of pumpkin puree, and stir to combine all of those flavors. Then add 1/3 of a cup of heavy cream and about 20 grams of spinach leaves, and you can choose how much you want to add here. You can see my sauce is very thick, so I added a few tablespoons of water, and you will need to eyeball how much water you would like to add. Give it one last mix and the sauce is ready. For this recipe, you can either boil your pasta or cook it in the sauce, and I chose to boil mine. And here is the final ensemble. I just added some shaved parmesan for a pretty photo. Over a medium heat, add 1 tablespoon of olive oil and let it heat up a little. We are just adding a little bit of vegetables for flavor, and I use 2 tablespoons each of diced onion, grated carrot and diced celery. Let that saute and get soft, then add 500 grams or 1 pound of ground beef. Break up the meat and let it cook for about 10 minutes, stirring occasionally. And when your meat has browned, add 1 cup of crushed tomatoes, 1 cup of bone broth, 1 tablespoon of tomato paste, and 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. Lastly, add 1 tablespoon of parsley and 1 tablespoon of basil. And this is gonna make it the very Italian, no? Give it a stir, turn off the heat, and the bone broth sauce is ready. Over a medium heat, to a saucepan, add 1 cup of heavy cream, 1 cup of shredded mozzarella cheese, and 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of nutmeg. Salt and pepper to taste, and I did a teaspoon each. Let it heat up and whisk occasionally to combine. When it starts to bubble, turn off the heat and add 1 egg yolk and whisk that in. This is gonna thicken your sauce. Let it simmer on low for 2 minutes and give it a taste to see if it has enough seasoning, and then it's ready. Using your favorite lasagna dish, coat the bottom with a little bit of bone broth sauce. Then add your favorite keto lasagna noodles. Continue the layering process by adding the bone broth sauce next, then the white nutmeg sauce, and spread it. Next, add your favorite shredded cheese or whatever you have available, and I use mozzarella. And just repeat the layers. Add your lasagna noodles, the bone broth sauce, then white nutmeg sauce, shredded cheese, and then I end it off with a layer of noodles, sprinkles of bone broth sauce because I wanted the noodles to show through, then more shredded mozzarella, and garnished with chopped fresh basil, black pepper, and finely grated pecorino. All the quantities and measurements are listed in the description box. And to make my lasagna look pretty, I added fresh basil leaves.